You all know. Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of Just for Fun Games. My name is Azzy. That's Roy. And today we're just going to be talking about whatever the fuck we feel like because it's the podcast. That's what we do. Episode
Shit.
I'm
7.
on 6.
Hold on.
7? All right.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. You might be right. I lose count of this my damn self. Hold up. Hold up.
Yeah, right.
I'm about to say I don't even when I record it, I don't even label it. So let's see. You might be right.
It's our lack of organization that gives us
episode 6. Yes, it's episode 6. So I was wrong.
Hey, yes.
Episode 6.
Oh, I feel so good. That makes me feel so much better. Like I can barely feel the headache now. So as far as like gaming news is concerned, Blizzard dropped a nice chunk of info as concerning Overwatch 2 and PvP, which if you're a fan of Overwatch, everything that's being implemented with Overwatch 2 will also be coming to Overwatch Standard, like the regular edition. The only things that really separate the two versions are visuals and like visual fidelity and the extensive PvE content that they're going to be doing. But they focus solely on PvP this time, where we have changes like they double down on the different class specific things that were coming, like all tanks take less knockback damage. They're going to be and enemies that attack a tank gain less of their ultimate ability, like their ultimate charge, for damaging a tank as they would anybody else. DPS are going to be moving faster, and all healers, not just Mercy, will regenerate their own health slowly. But what they dropped on us is that they're going from a 6v6 format to a 5v5 format, and to compensate for that, their idea is it's going to be a single tank. So all the tanks are getting stronger. Winston, your resident not a monkey, is getting a long range alt fire to his gun. Reinhardt's getting buffed. Zarya's getting 2 shields.
You don't sound happy about. I'm about to say you don't sound happy.
I know. I love that, but like I remember we used to have fun doing the tank meta where we would just play all of the tanks, and it's like, isn't that going to be really valuable? Isn't that going to be viable again?
Yeah, but going off on that, where going to 5v5, I'm not really feeling that because now you only get one tank. But then again, I don't play it professionally, so this doesn't really affect. Yeah, so this doesn't really affect me. But IGN had put out the article about pro players losing their jobs because now you ain't got the 6th person in there now, and you only run with one tank.
But no, like that's actually I didn't think of the implications of it. Like I was thinking of it more of in a casual perspective, and like you said, our crew, like the crew, as I like to refer to it, we really play Quick Play Classic.
Yeah, about to say, and now
we don't do that shit.
Yeah, about
we don't play like the regular play where it forces you into roles. I prefer the freedom of being able to on the fly go like, you know what, fuck it, third tank.
Now I could, like I said, for competitive, I can see them sticking to the 5v5, but I hope the 6v6 is still there, which, like I was mentioning about Andy talking about Overwatch 2, apparently people don't like playing as tanks. I'm a tank main. I only play as tanks. I play as Reinhardt, I play as Diva, I play as Orisa sometimes. I love the tanks. And that's what, and it's like, that's why they force you to in the queue when you start up a game and you got the queue going, they force a loot box on the tanks more than anybody else. I'm like, ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? And now,
well, it's actually, I mean, as a guy who plays MMOs, that's prevalent everywhere. People like being the badasses that deal the damage and not so much the big tank that is necessary, and it creates this complex for tank players. Like I play Final Fantasy 14, that game I'm trying to get Roy to play. Is it on your system yet? No, of course not.
I downloaded No Man's Sky instead.
But you get this. Tanks and healers are such rare commodities, and I really appreciate what Blizzard goes through in order to try to make each of the tanks in Overwatch feel unique and diverse, of which the best tank is Zarya. Oh, I'm sorry, there's just
Yeah.
no argument against that. I
Mm.
used to be in Orisa as far as tanks are concerned. I was used to be all about Orisa, but it's Zarya now.
Sorry, I can't aim, so start time swing with Reinhardt.
Well, that's actually one of the things I liked about like the current expectations, where playing as Zarya feels like such a great off tank, not so much like a main tank. So again, it kind of sucks, this idea that the game is trending towards this idea of only having a single tank. And granted, they're buffing them, so maybe I just won't
Yeah,
feel
about to say,
that it won't feel that necessary for Zarya. She'll be way stronger. Being able to shield yourself twice before like the cooldown goes off, yeah. Or it's like no, it's she gets 2 personal shields. Each one has a separate cooldown.
yeah, because
That's good. I'm gonna be full charge all day.
I don't want to get beat by a damn tracer zipping around my Reinhardt all the damn time, you know.
Yeah,
So hopefully,
she's not the worst. I'm waiting
there's
for
there's a whole bunch of people that can beat the shit out of Reinhardt. So I'm just
no,
because
they need to nerf.
I'm
The one thing I wanted to hear out of these announcements was a nerf for Sombra. Sombra is broken. She's the most annoying character to play against. Like, revert Sombra. That's like, she was perfectly fine when she shipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like what's her name? God damn. It's bugging the shit out of me because I used to play as her and then they nerfed the shit out of her and I don't like playing her as now. Symmetra. Symmetra.
Oh, I'm going with Symmetra. Symmetra girl. I probably play like I haven't checked my my playtime so much, but I think I play Symmetra now more than I play anybody else.
She's still good.
Reaper and Moira.
I mean, she's still good, but
I understand.
I miss the aimbot gun, you know. I miss just following somebody like.
I get that. The only issue I got with Symmetra is I also miss being able to set up 5 turrets.
Oh, yeah,
I wouldn't say the aimbot like the aimbot gun was great, but it was setting up the car wash.
Saying the car wash. I thought that was like a trophy too, achievement you can get. It's like car wash, you know.
It was. I still remember when I got it. I got it in Hanamura. I just lit up the doorway, and as soon as I got tank came through,
but yeah.
Okay. So they also showed off a bunch of different stages, but I wanted to see more of the visuals for those stages, and they mostly did talk, and I kind of zoned out on that.
Yeah, about to say I didn't see anything as far as this event. I was just like, because I'm still not whole bit into this Overwatch 2. I'm not really excited about it unless they show me a deep campaign for it. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to play this, because that's one of the main things I like about Overwatch.
They've talked about it, but we haven't seen any evidence of it, and I can understand that. I'm optimistic because while I get very frustrated with Blizzard and how long it takes for them to come out with their games, and personally frustrated with like World of Warcraft and the extent of the content droughts that comes with not only World of Warcraft but now Overwatch. But when they do come out with a game that they'd spend an extended period of time making, not Warcraft Reforged for that deep cut of the 2 people who might know what I'm talking about, they tend to be stellar games. So I'm optimistic, but I have to mention this before we move on to the next thing. If I don't mention that they're nerfing Mei, my nephew is going to be very upset with me.
You can't freeze nobody. What is this?
Well, let's be honest. It's never fun to play against. Even for those of us that actually play Mei, if the other team has a Mei, it's annoying as fuck. And they didn't say that her ult isn't still going to freeze. Her Blizzard will still freeze. So that makes that elevates that status effect. That makes it much more special than just something that she can do on the fly. And it still effectively makes her the flamethrower character. with that type of main hand gun, who can also like sub as like a sniper like McCree with her alt fire.
No,
Uh,
no.
but
I want the freeze back. God damn it! But I say I'm tired of these little
you
fucking
get and you
tracers zipping around. You know, be like, I got you. I finally got you in your tracks. You know, and now I could just
well,
slow
I mean,
down.
we've one thing what I would actually like to see, especially if like maybe they were to do this with when they show off like the PVE content, the campaign and such, tease some more characters. Like tease us, give us one more character because we've seen I think her name is Sojourn, and we've got
I,
tidbits of what she does.
I
But
haven't been paying attention. Like I said,
one of the big
it's not
problems
on
with
my
Blizzard,
radar. It might not even come out this
well,
year. So
it's kind of the same behavior that they handle their MMO with World of Warcraft. They do what's called a public beta test server. So whenever they have new content coming out, they use the fan base to help beta test it. And this can go on for an extended period of time. But problem is that during that period of time, there's not really that much going on with the live game. So people that are invested in the game will follow the stuff that comes out in the beta. And after an extended period of time of waiting for this stuff and seeing all the content as it goes live on the beta, the moment it goes live, it's not as impactful. It's fucking boring. It's just, oh, yay, I'm doing that thing I've already watched an entire YouTube video of. I mean, I understand you can exert willpower and not pay attention, but who the fuck in our community does that?
right.
So we've seen some of Sojourn. We haven't seen all of her abilities, and that's all well and fine. But give us one other character. Have Overwatch 2 launch with 2 characters, not just one. Maybe that would be too much for the balancing, but nonetheless, those are all my thoughts with the Overwatch announcements. You got anything else?
No, like I said, I didn't watch it. I knew about it, but it wasn't something
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, I gotta take time out of my day to watch it because I knew they were just gonna be talking. They weren't gonna show a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, the whole 5v5 thing was a shocker. I was like, what? So now
yeah.
now I'm saying if that's just for competitive, if it's like regular quick play, now we're down one person. So
I fully expect that they're gonna have a 6v. They're gonna have just like how they have Quick Play Classic for the fans that weren't happy about how they changed the standard play. They're gonna have like a regular arcade mode that's gonna be 6v6, and
mhm.
then they'll probably even differentiate even further. It'll be 6v6 classic. I
Who
mean,
knows?
because at this point, like Blizzard is very much a company right now that's like, hey, you like the old shit? We're gonna make sure you can play the old shit. But moving on. If you haven't seen Roy's review for Resident Evil The Village, Resident Evil 8, go watch that shit. It's on the channel. He did such good work. Put my last review to fucking
I
shame.
mean,
Made it look like something that was like a middle school made it on like MS Paint.
hey, I'm still learning here, so I don't consider it
It was still,
good.
but it was spectacular.
uh,
It like was it perfect? Of course not. Like there's a bit of sound quality. Like
yeah,
your vocals were kind of iffy at the beginning, but otherwise, I fucking loved it, and I was really happy to see it because I know how passionate you are about the franchise. So your opinion was the one I was really looking out for. See, but I have questions. I'm in a unique position. I got questions for you, the Resident Evil guy. Okay. Now you were when you got that tattoo, you were really nervous because you're really excited. And normally I'm the one that gets overly hyped about shit to get disappointed when it's not that great. But you were so excited, you went out and you got yourself a tattoo, and that's a commitment.
no,
Do you feel like that commitment was a mistake?
no. Uh, I'll say,
Good. I'm good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
hold
The,
on before you go on. I actually did. I was a guest on another podcast, and we did spoiler talk for Resident Evil 8, which is the channel is called the Nerdic Gods, and that's with Connor Knowles and Sims Gaming and I can't remember his last name, but it's Daniel. So whenever they post it, I'm gonna let y'all know. So
NAD.
yeah, any day,
Okay,
hopefully.
yeah.
But
Definitely. Okay. The reason why I asked that is because some minor spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Resident Evil Village. I have not yet. It's a game that hit the zeitgeist, and osmosis like it's impossible to not absorb
Yeah.
some things due to osmosis. So we know that Lady D, I like to refer her as Lady D's big titties. Uh, Lady D was heavily promoted in the marketing for the game. And just like what you might suspect if you're an overly suspicious person, she isn't in the game for as much as you think. They Bryan Cranston this shit just like Godzilla. And like no matter how many times that happens, it's always kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Were you how upset were you when that was resolved and you still had like 2/3 of the game left?
Eh,
Because like she was fairly iconic. She went viral like nobody's fucking business.
oh yeah. I was disappointed, yes. Now the first trailer, she was in the first trailer, but it was like it wasn't blown. She wasn't blown out of proportion out of that first trailer. It wasn't until the second
Not just yet.
Yeah, it was the second trailer when people realized this woman is tall. She's like bending over to get through a doorway. So I mean, yeah, Capcom heavily. I don't want to say heavily.
I'm not trying to continue to make giant tip puns, but they milked it.
Yeah, shut up. Anyway, but no, I mean, she was in most of these trailers, like like especially the second trailer. They made it seem like she was the main villain, trying to take you down. And when you play the main game, she's only in it like probably your first playthrough, you get maybe a decent hour and a half or 2 hours with her, and that's it. What do you get?
Hold up.
What do you get?
Hold up. A thought just occurred to me. I'm calling it right now. E3 this year, if we get a trailer for the next Marvel vs. Capcom, Lady D is going to be a fighter.
Everybody expects that. Somebody has made an animation, like a cartoon animation version for Marvel vs. Capcom version of her. So I'm not even into the Marvel vs. Capcom games, and Disney's got a hold of Marvel now.
Love them.
So now we don't get X-Men or some shit, like we don't get Wolverine or something like that. I don't know the details about it, but yeah,
it makes it more complicated, but it's still a possibility. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll have Ryu fighting Donald Duck.
Oh God. But I mean, as far as Resident Evil is concerned, yeah, yeah, I wish she was more in it more. I mentioned this in my review. I did say, I mentioned it to the Nerdic Gods podcast. I was like, we could possibly see her in more DLC or something like that. Like, I'm surprised, like I mentioned, there's no VR support. I don't think I mentioned that in my review, which I did write it down. I was trying to hurry it up. I was trying to move on to other things. But yeah, there's no VR support.
Just remember, fans, Capcom likes money, and if she's popular enough, she will just come back to life.
Oh,
I mean, how many times did you think Wesker was dead?
Nah. Wesker's gone. Wesker's gone. He was dead after 5, okay? He ain't coming back.
No, but I'm just saying, he died like at least twice before that, right?
No, he's only died once. In the first one, he's died in the first one. But
everybody gets one mulligan,
and it's funny because me and Esau were mentioned because I finally got him playing it, and he's on the hype train with Lady D, and he's like, he's like, wait a minute, you're telling me the collector's edition came with Chris Redfield figure? Where's the Lady D figure at? I was like, I know there was something late. They about to say she didn't get popular until after the second trailer. They're like, oh, everybody likes her.
There's a lot of production that goes into that shit.
Yeah, so like yesterday, Prime One, the statue maker, they normally do like DC couple movie deals, and they've had a Resident Evil 2 statue with Leon and Claire. I tell you what, if they have a Lady D statue, I will definitely pre-order that right away. I'm getting that Lady D. I hope I'm sitting down, but I'm hoping I'm sitting down, but I hope it's this tall.
It's a $6,000 statue that's life-sized.
I will buy it.
It weighs about 300. It weighs about 300 pounds.
I don't know. I don't know. My room can support a 9 foot tall vampire chick, but hey, I will buy it. But any other questions
only
about?
if you videotape yourself bringing it into the room like she normally gets into a room having it duck down.
But you got any other questions about Resident Evil 8?
No, honestly, that was the thing that hit me the most. Is like you have a lot of people that are like Adam Sessler, uh, who is finally back on the internet, was talking about how he thought it was uh right up there, if not better than Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like I said in the review, it was definitely giving me Resident Evil 4 vibes. Like from like,
Yeah, I remember you said that.
Yeah, about to say I don't want to say if it was following it beat for beat, but like the very beginning was a beat right away because you got people, the vampires attacking you. Resident Evil 4, you had the villagers attacking you. Then there was this one big guy with a hammer. There's a big guy with a chainsaw, and then the only way that you can get out of it is wait for a bell to ring. In Resident Evil 4, a bell rings. Resident Evil 5, Village, a bell rings, and they all disappear. So that was
I want to end this segment on one final question, and this is still coming from a guy who pretty much gets this franchise from the outside because I'm a pussy. But it seems like Resident Evil games have been kind of trending towards a pattern. And I've seen commentary where you had people going like, if you were to compare 7 to 8, 7 felt for some people 7 was scarier because it was more claustrophobic, and then they started opening it up, which is similar to what went down with 4, which everyone loves, but also tended more towards action. And then continuing that trend, we got to Resident Evil 5, which potentially might be Resident Evil 9, where it continued that open-ended format, and now it's more of an practically an action game. Are you worried that that's where they're going? Maybe not intentionally, but not intentionally. But do you think it's trending that way?
I mean, like if you were,
and would you prefer them to go back to similar, maybe even more like Resident Evil 2 remake?
I mean, Resident Evil 2 remake didn't have any, like, it wasn't like major action. Like it wasn't until Resident Evil 4 where we started to see a little bit more deep action. I mean, here's the thing: when it's a survival horror, like that's why I compared games like Outlast and Alien Isolation. Those games, you don't have a weapon that will give you confidence to be like, okay, there's nothing to be scared about after that. You're just like, especially Outlast, you don't even have a weapon. You're just running. So you're scared the whole time. Anything that comes at you is going to kill you no matter what. Alien Isolation, yeah, you got a flamethrower, but that only, gets rid of the alien temporarily. So Resident Evil, yeah, in the beginning, you have bare minimum weapons, but once you start maxing out your guns and stuff, you're not scared of anything unless, it's something that's impossible to kill. And that was one of the things I was disappointed with. Village is there wasn't an enemy that could kill you in one hit. In the whole healing system, I could just wait till I was on danger. I could wait till I was on danger and just heal and be back to fine status. I didn't have to worry about like, well, shit, I'm on caution. This guy, if he hits me one more time, he's gonna, like, just like in Resident Evil 1, if I was on caution, the hunter could just rip my head off. There wasn't anything like that.
Wolverine, like a werewolf rolls up on me. It's like, aha, I can block like this.
Yeah, about to say, and you got the block. So, I mean, that takes out less damage. But I mean, there was no need for the herb, like, and you had the herbs in there, but only way you can heal is you mix it with chem fluid, and then you make the first aid med and stuff like that. But I don't know. If it was to go more actiony, I would not be surprised. But I don't want them to go that route because,
of course,
about to say, if you want to compare the two games, Resident Evil, like I said, Resident Evil 7 was more scary than this one. There was there was one scene in this one that, and famously, it's gonna be famous because it was scary as shit. Because I was freaked out when I played. I was like, man, they were on borderline Silent Hill creepy shit. That's how creepy this shit was. And I was at my comic shop today. Somebody's like, yeah, I just got to the dollhouse, and I was like, you're gonna have fun.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on from there. Now we tried plotting out how we're doing the podcast today, and Roy came up with a kind of
It's experience I'm
it's
having.
it's subject matter, and this next one you're gonna have to explain because I can infer your meaning, but we didn't exactly have a meeting before we start
No,
recording
no,
it. So
I was. It
it's
is the idea I just
fuck them
had.
kids. It's
Fuck them kids.
fuck them kids, or are we getting it? Fuck them kids, or we getting old. It's like, all right, so I can imagine it's like we're gonna be comparing two situation, and then we need to decide fuck them kids or we getting old.
Yeah, man.
So go ahead and get this started.
I mean, I'm working with some young kids at work, and some of them, yeah, I don't mind. They just being themselves and being 20-year-old, 18-year-olds, and I mean, I don't have problems with that. Do what you want to do. You want to do, illegal stuff? That's cool with me. I don't care. But when it comes to like knowledge of media and what's the best, like music, I don't care. Movies, do care. Games, do care. So I don't know. Somebody was talking about the Lion King. And I was like, oh yeah, man, I love the Lion King. I was born in the not 90s. I was born in the 80s. So I love the 90s version. And he was like, yeah, man, I love the music and everything. I was like, yeah, man, it was so good. And he was like, I can't believe how beautiful it looked. Oh, the lions look really real. And I was like, he's talking about the new one. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, so you're telling me you like the CG one? Supposedly live action one. He was like, yeah. I was like, you ain't seen the cartoon, right? There's a cartoon? And I'm just like, fuck these kids, man. Uncultured swine.
You know what this is? This just means that there are less hungover teachers putting on Disney movies to get through a class each day. It's like man. bring back the party teachers who need a break and just put on a Disney movie and let people watch it.
And it sickens me. It's me. Like, because I was about to say, I was just like everybody else. We watched Lion King in the 90s, and when this live action supposedly one comes out, we're all hyped for it. It comes out, and we're like, I'm gonna watch the cartoon version better because that soundtrack was bumping. This wasn't bumping, and
it's funny. It's funny though. The same guys who did the Lion King did the Jungle Book movie.
Yeah, but I like the Jungle Book.
That's what I'm saying. If anyone were to come at the Jungle Book movie, I would die on that hill because not only does it look great, it looks great. They chose not to make the while the animals look very close to realistic, they don't go that far so they can continue animating and showing emotion that we can clearly see. And it even, in my opinion, fixes the ending. Because honestly, if you were to go back and watch the original Jungle Book movie, the ending is horrible. Mowgli just quits the jungle and follows some ass out of the woods. It's like, didn't you just fight in order to stay here? And you just abandon your friends for some chick you met?
I don't know. But going further,
and then
go ahead. I know what you got. I know what you're going.
But then they went like, it's like, but we could take this technology further. Well, we made them look as real as possible. It's like, real lions can't animate. We can't tell what they're feeling by their face.
But not only we were talking about movies, we were talking about games. And you mentioned a couple months ago, your first video game system, which was
a Sega
Genesis. Mine, Nintendo. This kid, he's like, yeah, you know what my first video game system was? I was like, what? Just out of curiosity. He's already got me intrigued. He's loving the Lion King. He's like, yeah, my first system was like, I think it was, what did he say? Like, it was a PlayStation 3 or something like that. I'm like, huh?
I was going to guess PS2.
I mean, I think it could have been PS2. It either was PS2 or it's one of them PlayStations. And I'm just like, okay, and I can't. It's like they don't know. They don't know. They don't know what they're missing.
All right. The first one I would say is fuck them kids. This one is we're getting old.
Yeah, we're getting old because like me trying to tell them about certain old games. I'm like, yeah, man, you got to play. It's not like back in the now how when you play a movie video game, it's trash. But when we were kids, we didn't give a shit. We played the Jurassic Park video game. We played the Aladdin's. I mean, shoot, hold on. Where's it at? I got it over here.
Oh my god, what was it?
If you didn't have these two games going up,
I've
cool spot. You're talking about.
We played video games. No, not that one. I was thinking the Cheez-Its Cheetah. We played the video games that were based on the mascots of food products.
Yeah, but
Cool Spot was awesome.
Yeah, but they were good.
Fried 7-Up in Maryland.
I was about to say, even the movie Alien 3 game, that was bomb back in the day. Now, if you try to do it now, it's gonna be shit. But trying to tell these kids, man, what they miss. And what's funny was because I went even deeper because I remember my aunt's. I guess it was her first video game console. I hope it was. I was telling them, hey, the oldest game system I got is a ColecoVision. He's like, what's that? Is that like an Atari? I was like, no, this is before Atari. So I showed him a picture of it, and he didn't about say, he's just like dumbfounded. He's like, how the hell did you play games? Because the controller, almost like an Atari, had the joystick. But at the bottom, it was like it was like a phone. It had numbers. It had the hashtags and the pound sign on it.
Thankfully, I never had a ColecoVision, and my first Atari was years and years later. Not that I actually really played it; it was a gift I got. It was literally just the joystick, and all the games are built into it, and you just plug the
plug and play
into the TV. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking god.
But I mean, that's gonna happen, and if anything, it's just gonna make you jealous because, like, looking back, that's actually the thing that gets me, and I feel like we can roll this into our final topic.
Oh yeah, that I was
can anybody else connect with the feeling of seeing a remaster for a game that you played way back when and going, it looks just like I remember it, even though you put them side by side. This one is clearly better looking, and that one is clearly by today's standards fugly. It's just like it matches what you remember from your imagination for the game.
I'm about to say the best example you're talking about is Final Fantasy VII, because because I can't wait. Even though I've already played it, the remake Intergrade, I can't wait to start that over again. I'm ready to jump back into the world of Final Fantasy VII. But the intro, just the intro alone, when they pull back and you see Midgar, gave me so much chills. The feelings of like this was my first PlayStation game. In the nights, my first JRPG, my first Final Fantasy. Like I'm about to say I'm getting teary eyed right now just thinking about it. It's like, yo, I remember having a PlayStation and the struggle of owning that PlayStation, because when I bought it, it came with the RGB cables or whatever. And I didn't have that on my TV, so I had to get an RFU adapter. And then I started playing, and I realized I couldn't save the game, so I had to go out and buy a memory card. So I had
these kids don't know shit about memory cards.
They was like, "What's that?" They'll say, it's just like that scene in Back to the Future.
The brick that measured your fucking life.
No, it's
if
like
anything happened to it, you lost everything.
Yeah, it's like the scene in Back to the Future too. It's like, you gotta play with your hands. That's a baby's toy. It's like, yeah, we had wired controllers back in the day. We couldn't, just fucking be on our bed, chilling, laying down, playing games. But
it doesn't even feel like it's been that long since like wireless controllers became.
I mean, there's still wired controllers out there. I mean, that's only because people don't want that lag, latency and stuff like that. But moving on what we've been playing. But we've both been playing this game. I had to stop a whole bunch of other games to play this one. I had to stop playing Returnal and stop playing Resident Evil. Well, I burned through Resident Evil just so I can play this game. And this game is Mass Effect. Legendary Edition. Now,
Yeah,
John,
man.
you played the first Mass Effect. I'm on Mass Effect 2. I just said, fuck it, I'm playing my favorite one first. I can go back
Yeah,
anytime. I'm gonna play this game. I don't know how many damn times.
you see now you brought up Final Fantasy VII Remake, and while I'm excited for Integrate as well, and I'm excited for E3 this year because I'm sure we're gonna get some more on the next part of the remake. I'm apprehensive about going back and playing the game because I feel guilty. I love the franchise, or I love the series, I love the franchise so much, but I'm still so very intimidated by trying to get the platinum on Final Fantasy VII Remake because I struggled getting through the game
I'm gonna tell
fighting
you.
against Rufus. Rufus kicked my ass, man.
I'm gonna tell you now. If you're not ready, if you're not fully prepared for that platinum, you ain't gonna make it. Cause I'm gonna tell you now, that last fight with Sephiroth was a bitch. I got my platinum. I'm happy. I can gladly
Was
show
it
it.
like Kingdom Hearts Sephiroth difficulty?
I see. I don't play Kingdom Hearts, so I want to know what that
Oh,
means. But he's on like the M Bison. He's on the M
give you
Bison level. You know, you think you're winning second round. You know, you kicking ass, and then the final round, he's like, "Oh, you thought you had something." You know, he
oh man.
fucking
Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 is a secret boss, and it's the hardest boss in both games. And I was able to beat both, and it was like for me, it felt like one of the biggest achievements over a difficult boss I had ever had. Uh, but uh, but just like that, but without the anxiety, I feel like I have to get the platinum for everything and all the trophies for Mass Effect: The Legendary Edition. Otherwise, I can't start the next Mass Effect. I can't. It's just like
you don't have to
I would
play
be
it on
betraying myself.
insanity. And that's
You
I
do.
don't understand why everybody wants to play this damn game on insanity first. I'm okay with that. But that's not how I play it. I'm gonna enjoy the game first. I want to see what the game looks like remastered, and I can tell you, the goddamn game looks beautiful. It looks like it can fit right into the next gen games. It's fucking beautiful. I don't know if you playing it on PS5,
Is
but
it is gorgeous. Though I
some facial
I mean,
animations not so good looking.
the character creator is better for the first Mass Effect, but I mean, I'm not an artist. So I still struggle to to make something halfway decent that I could deal with for the rest of the game. It's like I've never been a fan of slider based character customization. I much prefer preset options and just a fuck ton of options I can layer over those. So give me like 20 well designed, good looking faces for different tastes. Let me choose the one I like the best and then customize it that way. Skin color, hair color, eye color, type of eyebrows, type of nose, shit like that. When you're throwing, well, what do you want their cheek gaunt to be like? I'm like, I don't fucking know. This is fucking algebra.
Hey, look, just turn it to the side. If it sticks out too much,
I can't
pull that shit back in.
I can't tell what it's affecting.
You be looking like little Kim.
I'm like my shepherd is just like shifting like directions all the fucking time. So I'm just like, can I tell what the hell I'm sliding now? But no, man, I like Insanity was a fucking challenge because you had these mofos like Mass Effect is supposed to be a game that it's a third person cover based shooter, and these mofos don't give a shit about cover. They just charge at your fucking face. Oh my god. Thank goodness I play as an adept, and that's the one that has all like the biotic powers. And thank goodness at some point I realized that I could affect people with shields because in Mass Effect 2 and 3 you can't. So I'd have a Krogan or a Geth charging at me, which are frightening as fuck. And watching them get knocked back like they just ran smack dab into a wall is so goddamn satisfying.
Yeah,
I
I'm just playing
I
it on
still
normal, so I'm just cruising. I'm enjoying it. Get to enjoy. I'm not getting mad at this game. I'm not. I'm not trying to get mad. I already been there.
oh.
I say.
There were some fights. There were some fights.
I say. Out of all the Mass Effects, I only beaten 2 and 3 on Insanity. So
At some point, I beat them all on Insanity prior to this edition.
Well, I'm about to say, like I said, I'm jumping into 2 just to play for fun, because it's my favorite one.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go and I say, see what was stupid with the Xbox version. I did it digitally. You download it. I'm hearing this game is like 100 gigabytes. I'm like, cool, man. Let me go ahead preload it right now because it's gonna be weeks, days before I can play it. And it says it's 21 gigs. I'm like, thought this was bigger. Boot it up. You only got
said.
I booted up and it's only Mass Effect 1. So you have to download 2 and 3. And you can't do that when it's not the release date, and that kind of put me in a bind. So I said, fuck it, I'm just buy the physical version on PlayStation 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it, and just play it like that. Your life.
Sorry. What I have to say is, seeing how we are kind of playing it in a staggered sense, I can comment on the first Mass Effect and how it holds up, and you can comment on the second Mass Effect.
I mean, I'm still playing.
At this point,
the
I have
second
started. I'm just saying, at this point, I have started Mass Effect 2, but I did spend what feels like I don't know how many hours in the past week on the first Mass Effect.
I don't even want to know because I got some hours in already in 2, and I'm like, I have a friend who flying by. I'm like, ain't no way I've been playing this game for this long with the short amount of time that I have free time. There's no way.
And you know what? If there were enough Mass Effect fans that were watching this, I'm sure I'd get a fuck ton of hate for saying this, but I skipped several elevator rides. Like the moment the conversation is over, like if it's a news feed, skipped. If there's a conversation, I listened to it, I enjoyed it, skip. Because I'm sorry, we're in the future now, and we ain't gotta do like these backhanded tricks in order to fool people into dealing with the load times or loading in the game's assets and whatnot. But as far as the combat was concerned, I have a new person, a friend of mine who never played any of the other Mass Effect games, finally playing them after all of my fucking talk. And now I'm like, first Mass Effect is really something. Like they don't really label some of the controls all that well. You can't, from the options, you can't actually look at how the controller, the setup for the controller is broken down. It took me a long time to figure out. Like, I remember I went to you because I was confused. In Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, you can map your abilities to different buttons that you can use quickly in combat. They had that feature in the first Mass Effect, but only for one ability, as opposed to in 2 and 3, where you can map out 3. But I couldn't figure out how to fucking use it once it was mapped. And you don't know how many times, because it's like when I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, of course, and when you're trying to map an ability, it would say map this ability with square. So it's like, okay, square must be the button I pressed, right? Nope, I threw a grenade. Fuck.
Yeah,
and you don't know how many times.
Yeah,
and the delay on throwing the grenade, I'd hit that shit twice and chuck 2 grenades on accident. Because you throw a grenade and then you hit the button again to blow it up. I don't know how many times I wasted a grenade trying to use them properly.
But yeah, playing the first Mass Effect and not being so used, forgetting that the guns don't have ammo and you don't have to reload and it just charges. I'm so used to after shooting a rifle, I'm hitting square to reload and I'm ending up throwing a goddamn grenade. I'm like, stop! I don't need to do this.
Shit, man, are you kidding? You know how long it took me to remember that I didn't have to press the trigger for each bullet? Like, I play a class that can only use a handgun. So I'm figuring, I gotta pop that shit. And it's like I could just hold it.
Right.
Save me the time. But I'm telling you what, man, like if nostalgia was a physical part of my body, this game tickled it so goddamn hard. I I've fallen asleep on the game not because I was bored, but because I just
Yep.
tried to play it for too long and collapsed.
I did that last night. I was like, all right, I got to do these loyalty missions, and I'm sitting
It's
there, and I just passed out during a conversation. I'm like, I wake up and like, oh shit. That's probably why my hours. That's probably why my hours are so damn long. I just fell asleep on the game.
That's how it was back in the day, though, dude. Come on now, don't tell me you didn't have like a RPG or something where you fell asleep on it, woke up, and then just picked it back up and continued playing.
Final Fantasy 8. That was it.
Yep. But uh, like you were talking before about how the intro for Final Fantasy VII Remake basically brought you to tears and moved you emotionally. And I felt that too for that game in particular, but definitely when the music came in and that intro and they're talking about Eden Prime and such, it's like, oh my god, it's all coming back. Like that feeling of discovering a game that knew nothing about and then instantly drowning myself in it. Fucking loved it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Uh, Now I do have a particularly unique complaint because I'm trying to get all these trophies and I'm trying to play them without I'm trying to play it all out in one go as opposed to making multiple playthroughs because I have other games I need to be playing. Like you said, you had to put a whole bunch of games on hold. All this information came out for the next expansion of Final Fantasy 14, and I have several people that effectively set the precedent that while they want to play the game, they want to wait for me to actually be playing it with them. So I need to get back to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
I'm about to say, go ahead and say what you got to say. And I'm going to just try to finish it up because there's one thing I
oh,
wish they had.
one of the trophies for like the Legendary Edition itself is to romance somebody in each game all the way through, which means I have to romance somebody in the first Mass Effect, which in my original playthrough I skipped because, or no, original playthrough I picked Liara just because it was the only option available, but I didn't necessarily want to. So in my preferred playthrough, I skipped it so that I wouldn't break her heart in the second one. So now I have to either stick with her or break her heart again, which I'm gonna stick with her this time because I can't do that to her.
Oh.
She's too precious.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they had, but they mentioned it might come, is the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I really enjoyed that multiplayer, even though it was like, you pay to get cool stuff, but it was fun. It was fun to play.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun to play, and they, like you said, they teased that if uh, enough of the fans wanted it, then they put the development time in order to put it out.
Well,
And
shoot.
I prefer the idea for a lot of these games that any multiplayer side content be a second thought because this game was sold and became popular for its single player. I don't want any development time being split for a multiplayer that then causes the main game to suffer. Because
Mhm.
to be completely honest, while the multiplayer was really, really fun, for all the complaints that Mass Effect 3 had back when it first came out, maybe they wouldn't have been as bad if
It isn't
100% of
tied.
their development went towards the single player as opposed to them trying to do the
Yeah.
multiplayer, like fudging the multiplayer too.
Yeah. Well, shoot.
Same with
Yeah.
same with Cyberpunk. Like they're gonna worry about that single player first, and then like 3 years down the line, we
Maybe a
might get
multi.
this eluded Cyberpunk multiplayer that they teased.
Yeah. Uh,
All for that.
I mean, I can see them doing a whole. I want. That's wishful thinking. They could just add the multiplayer to 3, but I could see them doing a whole separate package and be like, hey, here's the same Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, but we are adding levels from, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. That'd be awesome.
So, be honest. Uh, Once you've played out the Legendary Edition, are you then going to pick up Andromeda again?
No,
Really?
no.
I'm actually thinking about it. Like all my complaints aside, at the very least, I was reminded recently that the combat in Andromeda actually was pretty good and it was a step above. I didn't
Yeah.
like how they tried to do the class system. I wish that there were better rewards for what you invested as far as how you created your character skill set. But it makes me really uh hyped to where they want to take the combat next. That's going to be it for us right now. We're going to continue playing Mass Effect for the foreseeable future, and then when we come back for another podcast, hopefully we'll have like our closing thoughts on it, which they're going to be positive. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Uh, but nonetheless, we're still going to have a shit ton to talk about it, a shit ton to say about it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet. Go ahead and drop us a comment down below if you're playing the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Did you pick Caden or Ashley? If you know what the fuck that means. If you don't, who would you pick? Just
Fuck
in
them.
general.
Fuck them.
Not that it's important. uh, what what thing related to games and movies makes you feel old at this point? Uh, what thing game or movie related pisses you off about young people that are just not appreciating?
All right.
Go ahead, drop those down in the comments. We will see you next time. Again, I'm Azzy. That's Roy. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
Deuces.
I enjoy the sight of humans on their knees. That is a joke.